May 23, 1997. 4 years have passed at this point since the groundbreaking event that was Jurassic Park, with director Steven Spielberg reuniting with Sir Richard Attenborough and Jeff Goldblum for the sequel that was adapted from the Michael Crichton novel The Lost World. But to not confuse this with the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle book and the movie of the same name, the movie was named as The Lost World Jurassic Park. But herein lies a very thought-provoking question. Does this movie still hold up after 20 years? And does it hold a candle to the original? Well, it's time to find out as we go back to Isla Sorna. Right from the word go, this movie has a distinctly darker tone than that of its predecessor. Now, that's not to say that the original was all sunshine, rainbows and lollipops. We had Barney the dinosaur for that. And that was creepy enough.
One particular theme that is present in the movie is that of redemption. John Hammond has realised the mistake he made in not only trying to keep the island contained, and with the accident of the rich British family girl at the hands of a pack of compies, but it's also to stop his treacherous nephew in Peter Ludlow in trying to exploit Site B, as Isla Sorna is also known as, so that InGen could wipe out the debt of lawsuits and financial loss of destroying the original park and life on Isla Nublar. But then this is retconned in 2015's Jurassic World, where the dinosaurs are alive and well and the park is finally open. But that's not until 18 years later.
The creep factor really starts to settle in when Eddie and Kelly witness the approach of two tyrannosaurs coming to the aid of their infant, who is being worked on by Nick Van Owen and Sarah Harding. It's even creepier and more terrifying when Eddie is being stalked by the two tyrannosaurs whilst he's trying to save everybody aboard the stricken trailer hanging over the edge of a cliff. The T-Rex from the first Jurassic Park was terrifying enough with what it could do. 2 was beyond terrifying.
But that said, this is what made this sequel such a good contrast to the original. Whereas Jurassic Park still had the dark factor of dinosaurs running amok after escaping their enclosures, this movie was darker with the Rexes tracking their intended human targets of the advocates and hunters on the island.
That and the inclusion of Kelly added another layer, because Ian is not only scared for Sarah's life on Isla Sorna, but also for Kelly, who had snuck aboard the trailer on the mainland.
And this tension and fear is realised the most when one of the tyrannosaurs is poking its head into their tent, sniffing the blood-soaked jacket of Sarah's from when she had set the infant's leg, and Malcolm is watching afar in fear, realising that he is powerless to do anything.
The advocates, led by Ian Malcolm, are purely there to document the animals' well-being, behaviour and parenting as a means of trying to preserve the island by trying to get a complete photo record of those animals alive and in their natural habitat.
The hunters, under the helm of Hunter Roland Tembo, are there to capture the animals and have them transported back to the mainland and into Jurassic Park San Diego. But Tembo is only there for one main reason. He has tracked and hunted all there is to hunt, until he learns the existence of a living, breathing Tyrannosaurus Rex, and in exchange for his services, he wants the right to hunt it.
Where I feel the movie lets itself down a few numbers is the breakout of the bull T-Rex in San Diego. Now, it's still a cool aspect of the movie, but we've seen this before from King Kong and Godzilla, and we'd see this again a year later in Godzilla 98, where the King of the Monsters visits New York City.
Also, I feel like I need to put this theory to rest. There is a fan theory going around that the crew on the ship were killed by the bull T-Rex, where it got out of its cargo hold on the SS Ventura, ate the crew, and locked itself back into its hold.
Really?
Folks, not even the Asylum would pull that card. In any rate, how would a 40-foot-long, 7-ton bipedal carnivore be able to do that? If it did, the cabin structure would be destroyed, and why would it jump back into its hold? The culprits to address regarding the cabin deaths would be the Velociraptors. They're more or less human size and be able to get in and out of such small spaces like that and then jump the boat just as it's leaving.
Okay, I can believe in the idea of the T-Rex breaking free of its constraints, eating those all around it, with one brave soul luring it back into the cargo hold and then having it sealed in, with one crew member holding onto the button even after he died. I can buy into that. What I can't buy into is the T-Rex breaking out of its hold, eating everybody, and then sealing itself back in. No, I'm sorry, that's just asinine. I'm sorry.
One plus side is that Ian Malcolm is vindicated in proving to the world the existence of real dinosaurs alive on Earth again after he's made to be a laughingstock when he told the press of his experience and injuries from Jurassic Park.
That and the car chase scene with the Rex and Malcolm's Pontiac GTO is the closest we'll ever get to a Jurassic Park Knight Rider crossover. And if that did happen, we could say Kit jumped the Rex.
The writing, while entertaining and thought-provoking, is not as polished as the original, but it did offer more of what the dinosaurs could do, and that alone is more than good enough. Jeff Goldblum had improved so much from his previous appearance as the mathematician from the first Jurassic Park. Whereas before he had this smug and rockstar-style charm in pointing out what people were doing wrong on Isla Nublar, here, he has a very hard and sober approach in not ever wanting to go back to that world again, but also mortified that Hammond had sent his girlfriend to Isla Sorna alone to document the animals.
But let's be honest here. If someone had sent your girlfriend to an island alone inhabited by living, breathing dinosaurs, I think you'd have every right to be annoyed, because, let's be honest, who'd want to get Gennaro'd anyway?
Julianne was a joy to watch as Dr. Harding. This is a lady that was not afraid to get her fingers dirty on the expedition to the island, and she wanted to see for herself the behaviour and nurturing habits of the animals. And she's equally sassy with how she handles her boyfriend's concerns.
Don't treat me like I'm a grad student. I've worked around predators since I was 20 years old. Lions, jackals, hyenas, you.
Whoa! Put down the mouth, lady!
As courageous as Sarah can be, she was also careless in agreeing to bring the infant tyrannosaur to the trailer in setting its broken leg, and doesn't see the danger coming until it's too late with 2 adult tyrannosaurs surrounding it. And Julianne portrays the fear for Sarah beautifully.
Nick is essentially the hidden muscle as well as being a film documentarian, because I think if he'd known that he was being sent to the island to film the dinosaurs, he would have taken whatever paycheck Hammond had given him, because it was his checkbook that got him there. Nick, along with Sarah, helped to break the captive dinosaurs out of the hunters' camp and destroys their communication equipment. Despite having the conflict with Malcolm about the jabs about the satellite phone not working, Eddie put a lot of care into the operation and the lengths that he would go to try and save his 2 colleagues, whilst biting the dust at the hands of the 2 tyrannosaurs.
Even though he's leading the opposition, there is something quite remarkably admirable and respectable about the character in the way he handles the operation and how he handles himself. He does things on his own terms and will not compromise anything. That and the late Peter Postlethwaite was just such a good actor that his performance made you feel impressed by Roland whether he was part of the Hunters or not.
Peter Stormare really went out of his way to make Stark as unlikable as possible. Thankfully, the Stark name would be restored some credibility with 2008's Iron Man.
The way that Dieter's death came about was really dark, as the way the compies stalked him, where he's isolated from the group and no weapons and they just overpower him, biting and injuring him until he has no way back. And the death is made darker when you see the water turn red and a low growl from a compy. This was a nod to Hammond's death from the original book, as Hammond didn't survive the events of Jurassic Park in the novel. But because of the casting of Richard Attenborough, there was no way Spielberg could write Hammond as an antagonist. But to see a cue to the book was a nice touch. Smug, greedy, uptight, and treacherous.
And those are just his good qualities.
Arliss portrayed Ludlow in such a manner that he's disliked from the word go. In the way that he wrestles control of InGen away from his uncle, to his condescending tone and attitude to everything.
It is said that those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. How did he think it was going to go down by trying to bring dinosaurs to the mainland when they couldn't be contained on Isla Nublar? Mind you, that was down to one man's greed and getting his own comeuppance, but that's besides the point.
And like Dieter, karma came to bite him in the form of the adult male T-Rex breaking his legs on the cargo ship to the infant Rex, finishing him off and eating him.
Really liked her as the sassy daughter of Dr. Ian Malcolm. Vanessa really shows Kelly is fearless until she goes to the island and sees the animals for herself. That gives her a new perspective on them, and why Ian didn't want her to go to the island in the first place.
Like with the first movie, Vanessa serves as the child audience participation in the movie, as Ariana Richards and Joseph Maslow did in the first movie as Lex and Tim, who did cameo at the start of the movie. Having his inclusion was wonderful, as here's a man who has been humbled in business and life, with his health clearly not at 100% when he's addressing Malcolm from his bedside. But the way that Richard portrays him, building from his performance from '93, was a treat, as you can see he clearly enjoyed playing the character. Janusz Kaminski, who served as the cinematographer for the movie and has worked with Spielberg on every movie he's directed since Schindler's List, really made the tone of The Lost World diametrically different from the first Jurassic Park, which was lush, green and pretty, and gave the sequel a very dark and more frightening look with rain, fog, and this general sense of the unknown. Because the mind is most afraid of what it does not know is going on.
It's why I go by the belief that it's what you can't see, but you can hear the sounds, the screams and the roars that are going on all around, that's making your mind work 1,000 miles per minute, because it's the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's around that next corner or behind that next tree, and it puts the hairs up on the back of your neck, and this works in spades with this flick. David Koepp said in the extra features for The Lost World, the audience saw the first movie, they know they can do the dinosaurs. They says, well, you can do the dinosaurs, but what can you do with them? I think when you make such a breakthrough in special and visual effects, in making the dinosaurs look so lifelike and realistic, the challenge is to raise the bar once more and have the animals do more.
Whereas the budget for the original was $63 million, the sequel was $73 million. Now, this could be just for inflation, but at the same time, this was only a 4-year difference, and probably Universal being convinced from what they saw before, and gave them a bigger budget to work with, knowing that the audience wanted more. The special effects with the animatronics, like with the baby T-Rex, are just eye-dropping, as this dinosaur is being operated completely by remote, and it's acting like a living, breathing creature, as is the baby stegosaur named Claire, that Julianne Moore interacted with. I felt like it was this film's version of petting the Triceratops from the first movie.
And like with the first movie, the visual effects from The Lost World Jurassic Park still hold up amazingly well since 1997.
The dinosaurs look more lifelike and terrifying than ever. The Velociraptors look drastically different with a tiger type of tone to their skin as opposed to the dull brown from the first movie, and they are heavily played down as the focus was more on the Tyrannosaurs.
I did like the somewhat nod to the Brachiosaurus introduction, with the Stegosaurs roaming through the jungle before the Advocates, as they're able to break the light in front of the camera as it pans up towards the light through the trees. The inclusion of Parasaurolophus was a nice touch, as this is considered a very popular dinosaur. Not like the T-Rex, but then again, what is?
That said, the male T-Rex is the thing of nightmares, especially with the way it terrorized San Diego like the degenerate that he is. I appreciate that it had to be shown how much of a dangerous animal it was, but the death of the family dog was a bit much. The sequence of downtown San Diego was a major highlight as it trashed a bus, a Blockbuster video rental, which sadly in real life, like the dinosaurs, is now extinct.
Boo! Long story short, the special and visual effects have improved greatly since the first movie.
Like with the tone and direction of this movie, the score is much darker than the last entry. Spielberg enlisted the services of John Williams once again, and had the score have a more jungle feel to it, with drums being a key part of the score with a great percussion performance that really lent itself well to the movie. In scenes that really elevated the suspense and fear factor, from the Rexes destroying the Mercedes four-wheeler, to Roland stalking the male T-Rex, and to before with the Tyrannosaurs tracking the camp as you can see the silhouette of one of them as Sarah puts her lamp out.
I like that the way that the air gets tense when Ludlow mentions Velociraptors.
What is the problem?
Velociraptors.
Even without them present at the time on screen, they still put the fear in people.
The Jurassic Park theme is used with Malcolm's exit from Hammond's home, and to the end of the movie where we see the Tyrannosaur family reunited to herds of stegosaurs roaming by.
John knocked it out of the park again, but ask yourself this. It's John Williams. Are you that surprised?
"22 years have passed since The Lost World was released to cinema goers, and while it took $618.6 million at the box office, it was substantially less than Jurassic Park's taking of over $1 billion, but still a hit, because movies have to cross the $300 million mark to be considered a hit, and taking into account that it took over $600 million, I'd say it was. The movie had tie-ins with the PlayStation game of the same name, where you play as various characters ranging from human hunters, to Sarah Harding, and to dinosaurs from the Compy, the Velociraptor, and the T-Rex. Sega also released an arcade shooting game where you travel through Isla Sorna looking to reach the end of the game, reuniting with Ian and Sarah and taking out the male T-Rex, which even for a late 90s video game still had some great graphics depicting terrifying scenes.
Like I mentioned earlier, the writing is not as polished, but then again, the first movie was such a tough act to follow, and you can say the same thing with the likes of Back to the Future, because the first movie was done to such perfection that the audience have an idea of what to expect going into a sequel, and unfortunately, this also happened with The Lost World.
It's extremely rare when a sequel surpasses the original in terms of quality in the writing and overall product, and one of those is Spider-Man 2. It built on what had been established with the first movie and explored Peter Parker's troubles in balancing his academic studies, photographic duties, and duties as that of a crime fighter.
Again, The Lost World Jurassic Park is still a very good movie that I can happily watch again and again, and it doesn't deserve the hate it gets. Its sequel, however, that's justified in my eyes. You know what you did.
I suppose the biggest flaw is that it steered too much over to an action movie and less of a tight suspense thriller like Jurassic Park. Now, that's not to say that Jurassic Park didn't have action scenes at all. Quite the contrary. The car chase scene with the Rex and escaping the raptors in the visitor center was plenty action. I had mentioned as a small piece in a review for Jurassic Park 3, which was kind of a metaphor that man is sometimes responsible for their own undoing. Jurassic Park created dinosaurs, and dinosaurs go on a rampage against their creators. And I stand by that statement. If you bring dinosaurs back from extinction, but are not completely knowledgeable in the means to contain and control them, what did you think was going to happen?
The Lost World serves as a satisfying sequel to a great movie that expanded on the great world that had already been created that would continue to inspire fans and filmmakers to come, especially with the likes of Clayton Fiorati and Altiori, who are the best go-tos with regards to Jurassic Park knowledge. They are second to none. I'm MJ Knight, and we survived The Lost World once more. Right from the word go, this movie has a distinctly darker tone than that of its predecessor. Mind you, that's not to say that the original was all sunshine, rainbows and lollipops. We had Barney the... I'm gonna edit in the T-Rex just roaring like crazy. It's like, I'm sick of these bloopers! Alright. Then the car chase scene with the Rex and Malcolm's Pontiac GTO was the closest... That and the car chase scene with Malcolm and the... With Malcolm and the Rex. Malcolm's in a car chase scene, but there's no car where there's no car? How does that work? Compute it does not! But let's be honest. If someone had sent your girlfriend to an island inhabited by living dinosaurs, I think you'd had a... Yeah. What's up, Doc? What am I doing in a Jurassic Park movie? T-Rex. Ooh, dinner time. Yeah, crap. Someone make a thing of that. Nick is essentially the hidden muscle as well as being a video documentarian, because I think had he known he was being sent to the island to film the dinosaurs, I think he would have taken with whatever checkbook. Why would he take Hammond's checkbook with it? It was like, Red Scott, why are you taking the checkbook? I'm supposed to just give you the check, but I can have so many more checks. That's just not how this works, old bean. When he unfortunately bit the hand? Why would he bite the hand when he's trying to face the Tyrannosaurus? He'd be like, dude, we're supposed to eat you, not the other way around. Like, this does not dino. Like, I can't say confused. Like, this does not dino. The first of two characters in this movie that would be hit with karma. The only difference is his was a lot. But I could do the can if I had the room. I really liked her performance as the sassy daughter of Dr. Ian Malcolm. Vanessa really makes Kelly fearless until she sees the island. On the animals. How does that work? It's why I go by the belief that it's what you can't see that put the hairs up on the back of your neck, because it's the fear of the unknown. You don't know. Thanos, stop the watch. I just decimated it. Right. You know what you did. I absolutely hate that movie. Kill it with fire. Well, I'm actually gonna put that, like, kill it with fire. I'll actually put when I'll say this in the post credits. I'll have Winholder sign up. Kill it with fire. I love that.